What if Rolex sold for $50 at every corner store? Cheaper than a G-Shock, sitting next to phone chargers and lottery tickets. Would it still be Rolex or just another forgotten watch? In this video, you'll see why this nightmare scenario is not only possible, it might already be happening. Now, to understand what Rolex could lose, you first have to understand what it took to build it. The story begins in 1905, when a 24-year-old named Hans Wilsdorf and his brother-in-law Alfred Davis founded a small company in London. The Rolex name itself wouldn't come until 1908. He had a dream that almost nobody around him believed in. The dream was simple. He wanted to make wristwatches that were both reliable and elegant. Now, that might not sound like a big deal today, but back then, wristwatches were called wristlets and were seen as small and not very accurate. They were worn mostly by women. Men of the era reportedly said they'd soon wear a skirt than a wristwatch. That was the world Hans Wilsdorf walked into. But he didn't care. He believed wristwatches can not only become elegant, but also reliable. And he's already proved that to the world. Today, Rolex produces around 1.18 million watches a year and pulls in over 10.5 billion Swiss francs in annual revenue, more than the next 5 biggest luxury watch brands combined. So, did people love Rolex because of what the watch was, or because of what the watch meant? See, people are willing to spend $10,000 on a Rolex when a $200 watch tells the exact same time. Think about that. Could it be that the watch is not just selling you minutes and hours, but your identity? Rolex understands something terrifying about human beings, and they use scarcity as a psychological tool. When something is hard to get, we naturally desire it more. That's why Rolex could easily flood the market with Daytonas, but they don't. They keep supply intentionally low, making their watches nearly impossible to get at retail. Guess the result? The demand goes through the roof, and they make more money. I mean, why wouldn't they? People are rushing to Rolex stores every day to buy success, style, and status. These watches don't just tell time, they tell everyone around you that you've made it. When you wear a Rolex, you're not just checking the time, you're broadcasting a status. Interestingly, your brain rewards you for it. Did you know that luxury purchases often trigger dopamine release? It makes people feel powerful, accomplished, and even happier. That's not an accident, it's 100 years of brand building working exactly as intended. So when Jay-Z, Keanu Reeves and DJ Khaled show up wearing Rolex, the watch's value isn't just preserved, it's amplified. Your brain makes a connection, and you think, if I wear it, maybe I belong to their class too. Now let's flip the script. What if none of that was true? What if Rolex was the watch you saw on the man selling phone cases at a traffic light? Would celebrities still put it on? The answer, if we're being honest, is no, not a chance. We've already established that luxury brands appeal to consumers on a psychological level by providing a sense of self-esteem, identity, and exclusivity. The moment everyone can have it, it stops being special. This is not about Rolex, but about how the human mind works. We're social animals, constantly comparing ourselves to the people around us. We want what others can't have and measure ourselves against what others can't afford. What car do you drive? What neighborhood do you live in? What's on your wrist? These aren't shallow questions, but ancient instincts dressed in modern clothing. We have always used objects to signal where we stand in the tribe. Think about it this way. There was a time when a Louis Vuitton bag was seen everywhere on street markets. You could easily find fake replicas on every corner. And for a while, the richest people in the world started putting it down and picking up brands with no logo at all. This isn't just about bags or watches. You can call it a social experiment. What do you think would happen if first-class seats on a plane cost the same as economy? Or let's say the VIP section at a club let everyone in. The premium experience would stop being premium the second it stopped being selective. If Rolex was cheap, the same thing would happen. Celebrities would move to Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, or another brand entirely. Anything to find something the crowd couldn't touch. But what would happen to Rolex? Meanwhile, if you're already hooked, smash that like button and subscribe. Let's give you a little backstory. In 2024, Rolex produced 1.18 million watches and generated 10.58 billion Swiss francs in revenue. That gave them just over 30% of the entire luxury watch market. That number exists only because of what the crown on that watch represents. Strip away the prestige and you take away the price and the revenue. Now, if you strip away the revenue, you have a very well-made watch that nobody is willing to wait 2 years on a waiting list to buy. In fact, the waiting list itself is part of the magic. Rolex keeps waiting lists for new watches to help maintain an exclusive brand image and maintain pricing power. In some countries, people wait years to buy certain models at retail price. So, if Rolex were to be accessible to everyone, those waiting lists vanish overnight. The resale market, where hyped Rolex models routinely sell for 2 or 3 times retail, will collapse completely. Then Rolex will become just a watch. It being just a watch means no matter how beautiful it is, it doesn't hold the power that a symbol holds. Would Rolex survive? Who exactly will survive this alternate reality? And who gets buried? The winners, surprisingly, are 2 very different groups. The first group would be the everyday consumers. For the first time in history, regular people can put a beautifully engineered Swiss watch on their wrist without saving for years. For someone who just wants a well-made and durable watch, this is paradise. Another group that will definitely enjoy this price slash is the collectors. The moment Rolex goes mass market, every old pre-collapsed Rolex from before the change becomes a relic. A vintage Submariner from 2024 will become priceless. Auction houses would lose their minds. Museums would want them. Vintage Rolex models have already appreciated several times over an auction. A Paul Newman Daytona that sold for a few $1,000s in the 80s now goes for millions. In this scenario, that number explodes and pre-collapsed Rolex becomes the new gold. Now, who will lose? And the list will be long. Luxury culture takes the first hit. The entire ecosystem built on aspirational watching, collecting, and gifting will be gone. The resale market, where certain Rolex models sell for 2 or 3 times retail, collapses completely. No scarcity means no premium and no profit. Then we'll have the influencers, athletes, and rappers who built entire verses around the green dial on their wrist. When your barber has the same watch, the lyric doesn't hit the same way. The cultural currency evaporates overnight. And here's the thing, it's not about Rolex, it's about you. What if Rolex becoming cheap didn't destroy luxury, but it exposed it? Right now, we walk around believing we make rational decisions when it comes to our choice of watches. We're hell-bent on telling ourselves that we bought the Rolex because of the engineering and every single component that goes into the craftsmanship. That's partly true. However, a $50 Rolex would have all of that too. Same movement, same dial, and the story of Hans Wilsdorf proving the world wrong in 1905. Yet, nobody would want it. And right here is where the mirror cracks. The question we've been avoiding for years stares back at us. Were we ever buying the watch, or were we buying the feeling of being above someone else? If the answer is the second one, and deep down you already know it is, then it's not Rolex that gets exposed. It's you. It's me. It's every luxury purchase ever made. A cheap Rolex doesn't collapse a brand, it collapses an illusion. And what's left when the illusion goes is uglier than anyone wants to admit. Maybe it's time we admitted what we're really paying for all along. But wait, do you think the story ends here? No, it doesn't. If Rolex were to crash, here's what's next is going to happen. When the Model T Ford made cars affordable for everyday people, the wealthy immediately moved to Rolls-Royce. Also, as air travel became accessible to the masses, first class got more expensive and private jets became the new signal. So if Rolex collapses as a symbol, the wealthy don't stop signaling, they just upgrade the language. Either Patek Philippe steps forward and Audemars Piguet tightens supply, or a brand nobody has heard of yet, sitting in a small Geneva workshop, will become the only watch that matters, and the cycle will restart from scratch. Actually, this is what luxury brands and psychologists both agree on. The symbol changes, but the need never does. Rolex could fall tomorrow and the crown would simply move. Turns out the most expensive thing Rolex sells has never been the watch. It's been the story we tell ourselves when we put it on. So, would you still wear a Rolex if it was a poor people brand? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And if you want to see what happens when a rich dude decides Rolex isn't exclusive anymore, Drake's Jacob & Co collection is the answer. The video is showing on your screen right now. Click on it and I'll see you there.